Hello everyone. I know it's been a while since I've made a video. I've been kind of involved in this tabloid comic project, and I've also been doing um, colored pencil studies, which I don't want to show because they're not great, but I'm learning a lot. Um, this is the cover. This is the first comic. So, like I said, I think I've demonstrated this before. A tabloid is an unstapled newspaper style comic. I guess it could be stapled. I didn't get them stapled, or I'm not planning to get them stapled. I haven't gotten them yet at all. I'm still working on the material, and it's gonna be like a Sunday Funnies type thing, and at least the outside and maybe the insert will be in color, but most of it will be black and white. Well, it's one of those things. I haven't made up made all the decisions yet. It's got, I think it's 5 pages so far. This is the front. Inside front cover, we've got Adam Frankenstein. Then I've got Tarzan. Maybe Tarzan will be inside front cover, so that's the 3rd page. I've got a Plastic Man comic that I did. Plastic Man's in the public domain, so we're going to do a classic Plastic Man comic. That one's definitely got to be in color, I think. And then I'm going to do a Void Circuit one, which I've been working on right here. And we're going to try and... Oh, there's my headphones. We're going to try and work on one panel. Maybe 2 panels, depending on how quick this goes. And, anyways. So here's my character. He's an android. Caretaker of this place called the Lost City of Zarath, which is it's a city of amazing secrets and technology, but it exists simultaneously in different places at different times. So in this case, parts of it are virtual. He says they're outside of the matter dimension. And parts of it are, like kind of like in Doctor Who, 30 seconds into the future, just out of phase in time. So it's unreachable, unfindable, until something happens. And something has happened. There's been an accident during routine maintenance. He's lost his arm. And he's able to replace it, and he completes the repair. And actually, you know what, I should actually have the wrench right here. He has a wrench. I think I have tones right here, so let's move this right here. He completes the repair. And then when he tests it, he's sent somewhere else. And where he's sent is this, the theme of the comic is Lost Perelandra, which is going to be this other world, the strange other world. And it's also the same world that the Tarzan comic is set in, which is the jungle of demons. And to a degree, Okeanos, Ocean Titan, and to a degree, Corbeau is going towards. And I'm also going to put Rabbit Fighter there. And maybe we'll even put Adam Frankenstein there. But point is, we're going to create kind of a new comics universe with this. We're rebooting the Volverse. All of the Empyrean Vol characters all into their own world. And Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. All right, so this character, I'm going to erase his hairline for a second. This panel's, I think it's going to be about this size. This is about the right size it'll be when it's full printed, so it can have a certain amount of details on it. That's too much. This character is somewhat inspired by Johnny Storm and the Human Torch, the Carl Burgos Human Torch, but the Jack Kirby Johnny Storm, really. That head is way too big. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to just take the entire head, move it down a little bit. That looks about right. An interesting thing about the way Kirby would draw the superhero uniforms is he actually didn't go for the skin tight, like Daredevil suits. The bodysuit. Mostly his costumes had wrinkles in them, folds, natural-looking folds. They were tight, but not super tight. And I kind of want to start emulating that. I think it's an interesting look. Made it more like a uniform. Alright. So this is going to be a little bit tough to do. We're going to do a blackout panel here. It's not going to be a total blackout panel. And I think the way to do it is I'm going to use this tones layer. And where's my beat tones shaders? I could use the blowout or the 60-degree dark. Can bring some analog to it. I think I've already kind of gone for the wrong approach. Let's try this again. It's okay to try again. Why is my eraser a technical pen? It should be the syrup. This is my eraser. Well, sometimes you want to use your eraser to actually do drawing, and that's not the case here. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just very lightly bring these in. I might do a Stardust comic. I think that would be cool. I had another idea and I can't remember what it was now. But Stardust would be a cool idea. Now I'm going slightly darker. Just using a little more pressure. I don't think my stars are going to survive this treatment here, actually. Don't worry about the words up here. We're going to give them a nice little speech bubble to pop them out a little bit more. So it'll be black on white lettering. Okay, at this point I'm just kind of rotating around. I'm trying to give it a little bit more dark. Maybe that's too much. until we get the full blowout right here around the edges. Okay. Now, we're going to take this, reduce the opacity, just so we can see where the edges are. Whoops. And then just cut away anything that falls outside of the panel borders. And like, just even if we had like real zip tone, this would be a pretty good approach where we just kind of lay the zip tone out and then do cutaways with a pen knife or an X-Acto blade or something like that. I was in Texas for a while and we didn't have great Wi-Fi. We basically had my phone as the Wi-Fi point, so I didn't do any videos then, and I kind of got out of the habit of doing them. But I've been working every day, as you can see. Alright, so here's the tones. We bring it back. That's looking pretty good. Does that look spacey? It looks spacey. One thing I need to remove is the drawing layer, drawing guide rather. And you know what we could even do is use the eraser a little bit. We get this kind of glow around him. That'll replace the stars. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, let's bring back our bubbles. So we're going to have to reduce opacity again so we can trick the bubbles back. I found a pretty cool trick when knocking out my bubbles with the distressed kit rather than use Rusty Nib, because Rusty Nib's got built-in line breaks, as you can see, these broken lines. This other brush, it's called Fountain Inker, it has no line breaks. So it has many of the same qualities as the Rusty Nib, but without line breaks. So when you're doing things like speech bubbles or narration boxes, where you want to be able to do a flood fill, in this case that's what I want to do. It allows for it. Now here's my second idea. Let me bring back the tones. We could actually remove the borders. Let's just see what it looks like. Oops. It doesn't really matter if I remove the border. It just makes it look messier here. Yeah, I don't think it helps. So we'll bring this back. Alright, let's do this one now. We've got to get back into the ink layer. Back onto Rusty Nib 1. And what we have is he's completed the repair here, and he starts to warp through time and space. As you do when you're a time-traveling android. And when he touches down, he's not back in the city of Zarath, which is where he left from, which is where the androids can never leave. But he somehow made it out. And the Central AI Authority, its name is Lucifex, has become detached from the it's named Lucifex, is now just like a voice in his head, And although this is a one-page comic, like the future ones for this particular story would be, you know, how he explores Lost Perelandra and uses the knowledge he has from Zarath there. And it's meant to be kind of like Paradise Lost. Like he finds this whole fresh new planet. And he's an android. And at least the area where he ends up starting from, he's completely alone in what he does. And he just has the voice of Lucifex, which is like Lucifer, right? So the spoiler of Paradise. That's my idea for the story. Oh, I'm doing the gloves wrong. He actually doesn't have gloves like that. He has, if you look very closely, he does have single gloves, but it's like, yeah, you know, he doesn't have gloves like that. I need to fix this. Helps if you follow your own design docs. Right. Rather than a clenched fist here. That head is way too big for the body, right? Alright, we're going to shrink it, then we're going to redraw it. Just to get the size. That's about the right size. The reason I redraw it is because when you shrink things or you change the size of something, it doesn't matter how good a job you do at the resizing it. If it's a vector, it won't look good. The line quality is going to be too smooth to look like it was drawn. And if you resize it and it's not a vector, you lose line quality that way as well. So I just redraw it. All right, hang on. Okay. I've jumped ahead a little bit. Gotta get his hair right. I wanted him to have like this sort of Johnny Storm-esque hairstyle, but split both ways. Well, what is going on there? All right. He doesn't have, like, superpowers, I guess, this character. He's just an android. He does have one power. He's able to survive stuff like this. Like, he just can reconnect his limbs. That's reminiscent of another Carl Burgos character. The Carl Burgos Captain Marvel. If you're familiar. Oops. Should the shadow be in front of him or the shadow be behind him? Or just beneath? I'm gonna go fast with stuff like this, these energy type things. I'm still not completely sure I understand what's going on there, how to do them. But I think it's a cool effect. I think what we could do is we could do a the same tome effect, but like kind of breaking out further back from the main area. So instead of using the blowout, we go to the light. And we just start out really light back here. And kind of following the spiral pattern. We get darker and darker as we get to the edges. To show the movement, if we can call it that, in the environment. And let's even switch to the blowout here. It's a little too harsh there. Okay. And now we're going to very carefully, same trick, dial back the opacity. And then dial it back in when we're done. I've also got to cut it out of these little energy shards, these little fragments of magic power or energy power. Lightning. Those get to be pure white. Oops. I was wondering if an eraser would look good there. Maybe a little bit, right? Maybe a little bit. Okay. I think I see where I screwed up here, actually. First of all, let's bring the tones back. Tones are back. Next of all, let's take the pencils out for a moment. And you know where I screwed up? On his hair. It's more like a Pietro hair. Kind of should go... Oh, I put it on the tones layer. It should go up at the top. Or more like Damien Hellstrom, you know? Son of Satan. Or maybe a little bit like Astro Boy. And he's supposed to be a blonde guy. At one point, and I screwed up and I gave him pupils, see? This is how I... Oh, I'm a bit out of it. As an android, he just has that. So this is my version of superhero comics. It's more like mythic adventure comics. And it's the same energy that you see he's surrounded with. crackle going. Boom. I'm gonna make this pants look a little bit less form-fitting. Same with the shoes. I think I made his feet too big. So it's kind of like he touches down there. Alright, switching over to the fountain inker. We can do some more. Gotta take the tones back down. We're doing some more narration boxes here where he's explaining. This is exposition. At the beginning of your story, before you've established your characters and before you've established what the stakes are and what's going on in the comic and who the characters are, you've got to do some explaining. And that's what this is all about, this particular one-pager. Screwed that up. I tried to do the flood fill on the ink layer. That's okay, that's why it's wrong. Goes in the bubbles layer. Okay. It's important to get good control of your layers. Something I'm not always good at. All right. There we go. There's a change. There's two voices here too. There's our main character, Samandriel, the android. Has regular font. And then Lucifex has this sort of computer font. And has octagon-shaped speech bubbles. So hopefully you can tell the difference in the dialogue boxes. We're going to call that one. Pretty much done as soon as I bring the tones back. Okay. Alright. I would say we're about at the halfway point on this particular comic page. 1, 2, 3. This is kind of a cliffhanger panel. It's just going to have the teaser for the next whoops. What the next chapter is going to be called. And we'll have this done before you know it. Alright, talk to you later.